So the ascendant, the sign that was rising at the time of your birth, defines the way you dawn on people. This is your vibe, the quality of your presence. It can be informative or it can be misleading. The important thing here for this video is that if you frame the positive qualities of this ascendant as some special competence that adds value and that makes you into a valuable hire, this would sound believable and look believable as well. In private consultations I do with my clients, I try to nudge people to do exactly that. Why? Because the things that their ascendant does naturally, they tend to underestimate. Those very positive qualities that people often truly possess and that set them apart in a very positive way are exactly those qualities that people tend to not value that much. So the ascendant, the rising sign, is where people most often take themselves for granted, which is okay in private life, but it's absolutely not okay when your task is to capitalize on any marketable advantage that you have. So I am Nadia, the astrologer for people who don't necessarily believe in astrology, but like it nevertheless. And this is the video on how to negotiate a higher salary based on your ascendant or your rising sign. Before we go on, I will ask you to like the video if you're liking it, because this allows people to discover it, and subscribe to the channel or leave a comment to support me so I can make more of those videos more often and with more pleasure. Now, this video is geared more towards people who take astrology with a grain of salt, although in my experience, people tend to find recommendations given for their ascendants more applicable. But if you find some other recommendations that I give to some other ascendants, maybe they could apply to you as well, feel free to experiment with them. Also, maybe if you know the rising signs of your relatives or colleagues or friends, watch a segment about their rising sign and think if they truly possess those qualities and if they are able to sell them well. And we'll start with Aries. Not only is this person able to start doing things right away, they also create this atmosphere around them where other people are also more likely to just do it already instead of forever preparing, researching, or planning. They work best, or more like they have a unique advantage over others, maybe except for the Gemini ascendants, in fast-paced work environments, because they just naturally start doing things faster than other people, and they are more flexible because of that. And it doesn't even occur to them that most of other people need more time to adapt or to sleep on it. They can follow orders, or more like directions, okay, just fine. They just don't need to wait for very specific and concrete orders or directions to start solving problems right away or experimenting or trying things out. In salary negotiations, it is okay to say that you would not be a good fit for a department that is slow and set in its ways. It's also great to also add that it doesn't mean that such departments cannot be valuable, reliable, worth preserving. It's just that if you are put into such a department, you will annoy the hell out of the people who work there, and you yourself will also be irritated. But if there is a place or a project that needs more speed and initiative and entrepreneurial spirit, this is where you would shine, and this is where you would be more valuable. And because you just do things. And yes, sometimes those things end up being mistakes, but then you just correct the mistakes, easy. And then other people who are around you, who are working with you, they also start to catch up with you sooner or later. And then they also start showing more drive and initiative. And from this, the project benefits. And this is how you can improve results that don't just come from you, but from other people in the company, in the department as well. Now to Taurus. Now, a Taurus ascendant is really, really good at calming people down, at activating their parasympathetic system. That's the one that is more about you, like calming, digesting, and such. And people may not even reflect on that, but they love being in your company, or like they enjoy being in your company because they enjoy being calmed down and grounded. You may even put people in a light trance by just doing what you do, by explaining them something, doing your normal work stuff, and entering salary negotiations. You can do just that. Relax, maybe do some sport before the meeting to get rid of excessive tension or excitement. Suggest that you all drink a hot beverage. Offer or like share something that you have seen that other people may maybe enjoy, like some cultural experience or a dish. Maybe mention a project that you have been working on and maintaining for years, like, I don't know, a house or a garden with fruit trees, whatever. So, like something that would um, make it obvious that you are a person who is grounded and stable. You put down the roots. Ask how the project is doing. If it's a bit chaotic or challenging, let's say something like, right, so you are looking for a person who is able to bring some stability and steady energy into this. And maybe if it's appropriate, say something like, yes, I know that when circumstances are stressful and goals are ambitious and there is a lot of tension and excitement, then people tend to do poorly. They tend to get into arguments or make mistakes or reach the burnout faster. So, in such projects, it is crucial to have someone in the team, preferably in a leadership position, who can ground everyone, who can help everyone stabilize and calm down. And this is how the work that is done easier, with fewer conflicts, fewer mistakes, and people stay and remain in the company for longer. What can also be believable is your ability to identify and foster talent and delegate, of course. So, as always, it's best if you have a story to confirm it, a real life experience. But make it a story about how you were able to see some strengths in some colleagues and help them develop those strengths and put them into the roles in the company where they are now more productive and more useful and more happy than they used to be. And now to Gemini. So this one is really easy to understand, but difficult to to sell in a serious manner. So what Gemini Ascendant or Rising sign is good at is striking a conversation, but also language in general. And this is obviously an amazing quality for a salesperson. But you may not be at your best, most relaxed and spontaneous self when being interviewed by a person who is in a position of power against you. So, Gemini is a bit of a trickster, and clear hierarchical relationships are not where it feels most comfortable. So just applying for a job and then telling your potential boss that you excel at communications while being tense and sweaty is obviously not the way to go. What is? Informal networking. Have fun, meet new people, ask them questions, meet other people, drop some names, help people connect with other people. Again, do it informally. Express interest informally, bounce ideas off people, mention that you are interested in working in some companies or on some projects. Ask people to introduce you to people who work in those companies or do those projects. Meet those people, ask them questions, express interest informally, then maybe help them connect with some other people. You get the idea. Basically, the more interesting, pleasurable networking you can do informally, the higher name dropping rate you can reach, before applying for the job, the better. And then apply for several positions, which is always the smart thing to do, and keep your options open. And when you name a high number, then you can justify it by saying that you know everyone in the industry, you have many connections, and you would be able to also make the company or the project well connected. It's almost like you are a specialist with a PR specialist built in. But yes, it's only convincing if it's true. So for this ascendant, I always recommend doing a lot of informal networking before applying for jobs officially. And now to Cancer. Your superpower is creating around you an atmosphere of acceptance. You can be the safe space for people. And yes, some people may abuse this wonderful quality of yours and only come to you when they need to whine or eat. So the faster you start getting good money for it, the better. Otherwise, the exchange of energies is so unbalanced that nobody feels better afterwards. And think about this as well. In the modern world, those qualities are often seriously undervalued. So, like, think about the kindergarten teachers or grandmothers, which does not mean that you cannot earn really good money with this ascendant. The key here is to work with ultra high net worth people or just high net worth people. If they can relax around you and be vulnerable around you and trust you, you can do any sort of job and be paid well. So if you are applying for such a job, then yes, look, accepting and understanding, but you can also put it into words and say that you have a good mom energy about you. And you can also follow up with a joke about how this does not necessarily mean that you were always a good mom to your own children at all times, but also that being somewhat humbled by life is a part of it. You may also say that people tend to regress with you a little bit and yeah, trust you because you care for them, or more like you can see a person with their hardships and anxieties and problems, and you feel for them. And they feel safe with you, but not prodded, because being nosy, of course, can destroy this atmosphere of trust and care and acceptance and safety above all. And people will pay a premium to work with someone who they can trust, around whom they can relax and also be vulnerable. Or they would just prefer to work with you and will not leave the company you work for competitors. And I don't know, maybe you can also add that you care for people, also the extremely like powerful and successful people, and you are glad that they feel safe with you, but that you have learned over the years that you must be well compensated for this job, which if you are, makes you more generous and more caring, more basically more resourceful. So my recommendation is try to try to go for jobs where you get to work with people with a lot of money. Leo ascendant. So your face says, I'm okay. I'm currently at this stage of my life where I have it together and I can share some of this healthy, well-functioning togetherness with you. And truth be told, nobody wants to work with people who are not okay. So even like that, by default, without even trying, your chances of being offered a job over other people are already higher. The question is now how to make this job pay well. You may capitalize on the wish of others, on the desperate wish of others to be just as okay as you seem to be. What do you do to help them get there? You pump them up a little bit. You give them compliments, you cheer them up, you share your halo. You may not know it, but when you give people a compliment, they believe it and they remember it. You can also capitalize on your innate dignity. You are the astrological aristocracy, let's say, and this is who the fancy firms want to have working for them. So to make sure you get the message across, behave also with dignity and respect and a bit of distance. It wouldn't work if you don't find the place that you want to work at genuinely attractive. But if you do, give a couple of compliments about how the place is running. Point out a few things that you were impressed with, some things that are done right in the company. If you're looking for ways to justify the high salary that you are going for, you may also add that you are good for morale. You love winning, you want to win, but you're also a good-natured person. So with you, winning or even striving to win comes with a generous, playful, good-natured attitude, and not the do or die attitude that tends to drive people into burnout faster. And your love for winning and success is contagious. So people who work with you, they get infected with this, and they're also more enthusiastic about trying to win in a good-natured manner. Of course, it's best if some of your ex-co-workers can confirm this in written form. Virgo Ascendant. Now you look like a smart person who knows how to think critically, and maybe even too critically sometimes. So you sometimes put people on the defensive, not because you're mean, but because you are a nerd in some areas of knowledge, let's say, and your nerdy way of correcting people or of inserting your remarks is not always appreciated, unless it's in the job description. So it's best to apply for jobs where a critical eye is exactly the thing that creates value, and to apply for those jobs. You can openly say that you care deeply about people being realistic and about people improving themselves. And that, yes, your style may be a little bit confrontational at times, but that you found that this is what destroys complacency. You can also say that you know it's kind of a faux pas to say that you are a perfectionist at a job interview, and that you are definitely in the better done than perfect camp, but you are driven to improve things, and that you will push people to improve things, and that you will enforce higher standards. What's even better, after a while, people who work with you will internalize your standards, and without you telling them, they will start looking at what they are doing with your eyes and correct themselves on their own. And this is very important in like knowledge-based work or information technology, media, finance. It's basically everywhere where high standards are more important than making everyone feel good about themselves every day. Libra Ascendant. You have a face of a person who is genuinely interested in making sure that your opponent feels heard and understood. And yes, this may attract some unpleasant people to you who would try to make their point to you because nobody else would listen. And then some other smart people may even accuse you of enabling those unsavory individuals and their points of view. This is to say that you will experience some discomfort because of your diplomatic ascendant anyway, so it's best if you are paid well for it. You excel at working with difficult individuals whose cooperation and goodwill are important for the project, but who, those terrible people, get triggered when they work with less diplomatic people than you. This is your selling point. Now, granted, there's always a balance to be achieved, balance, Libran word, between how much time you spend with those difficult people and how much money you get for that. And I recommend being bold about it. The more unpleasant the people are who you will have to appease on behalf of the company, the higher your rate. You can position yourself as an asshole whisperer, or to put it in more diplomatic terms, an angry person whisperer, or a good cop. And in no way do I imply that doing it is pleasant for you or that it is easy. But you're just better at this than most of other people. So don't let your subjective experience underestimate the value that you can bring to the company while doing what you do well, naturally, or at least better than other people. Scorpio Ascendant. You look like a person who has been through some heavy, difficult shit. And so you will not be shocked and appalled if you are presented with some more of the hard, difficult, heavy shit, which makes you the perfect person to work with topics that are too heavy and intense for most of other people. Plus, you have those eyes that look like you are suspecting something or that you are planning to look deeper into something. So people will expect a slightly unconventional take from you, or that you would notice something that is not immediately obvious when you look at just the surface. Scorpio is also a sign of deep transformation, and your way of looking at things is also perfect for identifying the directions of this deep transformation. You may also provide examples of some situations, like some crisis situations, in which you were able, as a person who is not easily rattled, to keep their cool, at least outwardly, and look deep into what really mattered at the time, instead of just running around and being reactive and impulsive. This is especially great if the company actually wants you to, at some point, deal with some crisis situations. In general, it's okay if you say, some other people are good at leadership when everything goes according to plan, but then when shit hits the fan, people look to me. Or stress your ability to see what is hidden, like hidden potential or hidden dangers or hidden costs and ways to eliminate them. Things that other people overlook. It's best if you have an example of that, of course. Another trait that people may believe that you have is your ability to be laser focused on exactly the project that would bring the greatest returns. So a lot of other people may be doing normal work while you would be focused on something that brings greatest earnings or savings and which benefits the company the most. Sagittarius Rising. You are hungry for exponential growth, expansion, and success that brings good reputation. And you can also be very convincing when you say this about yourself. You are a natural choice for a position that either brings in expert knowledge or makes expansion into other countries and markets possible. And yes, you dislike smallish goal setting, you find it demotivating. Your vibe is more compatible to with a position where big picture thinking is more appropriate. You also generally possess more cultural capital, or maybe even intercultural capital, than most, and you're just plain better at working with internationals and snobs. You yourself may also be a bit of a snob, but a very likable one, the one that people like to hang out with. In negotiations, you can say that you are not interested in offering some short-term solutions and that you are more interested in making sure there is growth long time into the future and that this growth is way more impressive than it can be now. If the position requires getting in contact with some high-cultured, savvy, or snobbish people, make sure that your international and cultural credentials are also reflected. You can also be very convincing when you talk about how you made some good connections doing some non-work related thing, whatever it is that you do. I don't know, hiking or meditating, going to opera, traveling to different countries, whatever. Or if you are into earning degrees, so like academically accomplished, this may also be a big bonus, especially if you were able to make some good connections in the field while doing that. And all of that may seem like nothing special to you, but this is the trick with the ascendant. People generally don't see it as some special added value, and they're only mildly condescending towards people who are not so good in this regard. Capricorn ascendant. So people tend to be very happy when there is a grown-up in the room, someone who is able to make important, difficult, or mainly just important decisions, and who gives the opportunity to those other people to just go with the flow. And you happen to look like such a grown-up, even if you're just 18. So it's best to approach the salary negotiations with the same energy. What are the tasks at hand? Which are the problems I will be working with? What are the decisions I will be empowered to make? Where will you have the authority? Make it clear with your questions that you are not the person to avoid responsibility, and that you are instead looking to make the scope of this responsibility broader. What is also worth to communicate literally, as in with words, is that you are fair and people generally perceive you as fair, but that you are also very transparent about caring about the bottom line more. And that since people perceive you as being fair, they're also more likely to respect your decisions, even when they reflect caring about the issues of the bottom line more than that of fairness. If you have the numbers that show the measurable positive effects you had on the projects you worked on, then show them, but be concise. And also feel free to elaborate on how people show more trust and respect for the companies that are represented by serious people, and that you are such a serious person. So if the company's clients work with you, they are more likely to trust the company with serious high-stake projects. And those high-stake projects are also the ones that are usually more expensive and profitable. Now, Aquarius ascendant. You may start out with confessing that you would be not a perfect pick for a role in which doing what everyone else in the industry is doing is expected. So in terms of the BCG metrics, you're not supposed to be managing a cow, a company or a product that is doing well as it is. And also, if something has been identified as a star and where the strategy is already more or less set, you're probably also not the best person for the job. Whereas in the two other categories that don't benefit from a standard approach, clearly, otherwise they wouldn't be there, there you may win big time if you are given free rein there. Your oddball approach allows you to see things that other people don't see, and solve problems that no one can solve, and get the results that other people cannot get. You are also allergic to the stupid inefficiencies, and you are able to save the project time and money by identifying and eliminating them. In essence, you are perfect for a company that is eager to diversify and invest in something unconventional. And you are also hardworking and stubborn and resilient and very, very eager to show that you were actually right. So very motivated to work hard. Maybe not a foolproof recommendation, but think if you would want to consider having a normal or maybe a bit below average salary for your position and a big bonus in case you succeed, given that you have all of the resources. This will give you more autonomy and also a larger income in case you were right. And the Pisces ascendant. So hardballing yourself into a higher tax bracket is possible for every sign, including yours. But if you want to use the unique strengths of your Piscean ascendant, you should act in a less straightforward way. Your Piscean strength is in being attractive and hard to pin down. So have an alternative. Always have an alternative before you enter into negotiations with a company that you are very excited about. In any such negotiation, ask a lot of sincere questions. Make sure that the person you are talking to really feels that you understand them, that you empathize with them, that you are eager to help. Maybe volunteer to take on a small project or a task, not to impress them, but because you are very much into the project and you want to make a small contribution and you want it to succeed, and it doesn't hurt you if you help out a little bit. Don't pressure them into making any decisions yet. On the contrary, make sure that they have enough time to start believing that you really care about the project and that you have done so much for it already. Basically, position yourself as a selfless, generous person who is able to act creatively and has a soft approach but a sharp eye. And then, after they have warmed up to you, start presenting doubts mixed with enthusiasm, so mixed signals. You love the project, the company, the people, the potential, but you are also responsible for the family, let's say. And you were recently approached with an offer that offers a very good compensation and a lot of stability. And if it was just you, you would have chosen those wonderful people who you are talking to right now. But then your family would be upset, and this you cannot really afford. Like, it's not that they would be upset, but you would feel that you have wronged them. So ask for a higher salary, not because you feel that the company owes it to you, but because it will give you the opportunity to do both things you want to do. Work at a place that you really want to invest into and that you care about, but also do right by your family, and that you would be extremely grateful if this works out. No pressure. It is important that you get into their heads before you name the number that they may be uncomfortable with. Well, that was it about the marketable qualities of the rising signs that people rarely try to market. And yeah, it would make me very happy if you leave a comment or like the video to help others discover it, or subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed to it.